Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we'll discuss week 17 of 2022. Let's get going. Well, week 17 was definitely busy. We'll start this vlog off discussing our chickens. So we had a whole lot of chicken activity this week. The first thing is we got rid of Grape, which was our chicken that was crossbred. He was crossbred between our little Bantam rooster and one of the Isa Browns. The only reason we didn't want him for our chicken full time is because the female chickens that we kept that were from his same hatching, they lay really small eggs, and they're delicious, but they're not the desired size that a lot of people like to buy. So we didn't want to use him to breed with our new California tans because we wanted to make sure we kept kind of the large eggs. He also didn't get along, like I said, he didn't get along with Red. So it worked out. We got to meet some really cool people in the process. They're starting out this is their first year with chickens. So they're kind of where we were a few years back. They're getting into gardening and they're getting into chickens. And it just got me thinking about how much fun the whole gardening and homesteading community is and how easy it is to make new friends and meet new people. So anyway, if you get a chance, I highly recommend reaching out to those around you who are either more advanced than you for advice or maybe those who are just starting so you can pass on what you know. Another thing that happened with the chickens this week is we moved the California tans and the baby Isas. We moved them into a new coop area. So they got in their full feathers so they can regulate their body heat. So we put them into the coop and we'll take a look at that now. So this is the coop where we keep our girls at night. And again, they free range most of the time. They did stay in here by themselves whenever we had the bird flu scare, but now they're out full time. First thing in the morning, back in at nighttime. And you can see they have grown quite a bit. So what we do is we leave them in here. We allow the girls that are laying to come in here and lay. They're usually done by about noon. We'll open this up and we'll let them run around in the coop. We'll shut the front door and that way they can kind of stretch out. Another thing this allows us to do is it's a lot easier this way to introduce the new chickens to the flock whenever they've been around each other. I think another advantage that we're going to have this year is we only have 9 chickens, and 2 of those are roosters, right? So we have 9 chickens, 7 of those being hens. So we're going to introduce these 16 girls to that flock, and what's going to end up happening is they're not going to have to worry so much about being bullied like the last 2 girls were, because there's just going to be a bigger number of them, so they won't be able to concentrate on just the 2 females like they did the last time. But Peanut and Eleanor, they did really well. They got used to it, but it does make it just a little bit easier. Are you flying up there, buddy? So anyway, so these are the new girls, and they'll be out and about running around free ranging in about 6 to 7 weeks from now. Just wanted to show that one right there. That's our Rhode Island Red. He's a super friendly rooster. Leslie loves having one that won't chase her around the yard, or if you turn your back, try to bow up on you. That guy will, though. He's a jerk. But we've kind of got him used to us now to where we don't have to worry about it as much. But again, I would just worry about sending him off somewhere where somebody wouldn't know him as well as we do. So we put up with him and feed him and just call him a jerk. So the next thing that we'll talk about is our old garden. Many of you know from last week we discussed about this. Our chickens, for some reason, have been eating our peppers. Now, we've had them out here before and they never bothered them. So what we've decided is no more nightshades unless they're behind a fence, right? The squash are doing great. We had the sweet potatoes covered. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link up here for when we planted our sweet potatoes. So anyway, so we know that next year we can grow in the old garden. We'll be able to grow cucumbers, squash, and of course our onions, that sort of stuff. We'll take all the nightshades and we'll put them up in the top garden. I wanted to take this opportunity because really this time of year, what we're doing is we're sort of filling in the blanks, right? So we're looking through the garden and we're looking to see if maybe we didn't grow enough of a specific plant. If we have an opening that we weren't anticipating where we could put a new plant in, like, I don't know, like a different kind of squash or something. And that brings me to the Master Gardener Sale. Now here in our area, the Master Gardener Sale is the first weekend of May. So it's coming up this weekend actually. And the Master Gardener Sale, if you don't know what the Master Gardeners do, they are a community resource. It's a group of people who they're educated in, the colloquial environments. And you can call them, ask for advice on gardening. They get free classes, they get free lectures. And one of the ways that they fund it is through this Master Gardener Sale. Now here in Polk County, Arkansas, they have it at the fairgrounds. And again, it's going to be this Saturday. I believe that's May 7th. But I'm not sure when it is in your area, depending on if you're warmer, it might be earlier. If you're a northern climate where it's colder later, it might be a little later into the year. But it's something to think about. So as you're going through and you're actually planting your gardens, if something didn't come up that you wanted, or you lost a couple plants, or in our case, your chickens won't leave some things alone, that's a great opportunity for us. As opposed to going to a commercial area to buy, or a commercial nursery to buy your plants, you can go local and you can support a community-driven initiative. So that's what we're doing this week. All of our sweet potatoes are good. We do have one of the little pepper area. We tried to replant it. We put in 4 more. We put the little tomato cages around them this time, plus the stake. 3 of them actually they haven't touched, and one of them they took it out. So right now I think I can probably squeeze in 5 or 6 more plants depending on what they are. And so anyway, the Master Gardener Sale is a great place to get that stuff done. I highly recommend going through, taking an audit of the space left available. And if so, maybe go out and contribute a little bit. Well, as the week progressed, we ended up getting quite a bit of rain. So the yard's pretty soggy right now. The gardens are nice and watered. But that kind of, at this time of year, that gives us a few challenges, right? So I'm going to go in and we'll take a look at the potatoes and I'll kind of explain what I mean. So as I mentioned, we got quite a bit of water. So I believe we got like 2¼ inches. Anyway, it was a lot. So as you can see, it is really muddy down here, which is a bit inconvenient because I would really like to do the first hilling of the potatoes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and I'll take a hoe and I'll hoe all this till it's nice and fine. And I'll take it and I'll pile it up on these potatoes until only the very top. So it'll be, we'll fill it up to like right there. And I call it the first hilling. And the reason I say that is because the first time we do it with dirt. The second time we do it with straw. This is the first year we've taken this approach. Last year we did it with just straw and we ended up with quite a bit of potatoes from this area. This year I'm hoping to not quite double it, but almost by doing, doing 2 hillings instead of just the 1. So we'll keep you updated on that as it goes. And while we're down here, kind of in the same lines as the Master Gardener Sale and plugging in any holes, I don't know, I was looking at our beans, and I'm not sure about you, but every year that I plant my beans, I come out and I'll get a few of these guys right here that'll come up there. They don't produce the first leaves and they sort of just wither and go away. The reason I'm bringing that up is now that it's getting towards that time of the year where soon we're going to want to be picking our beans, right? So, and you can see these are still a reasonable height. They haven't started shading out the rest of the bed. So now is the opportune time. If you do have a couple bare spots in your bean beds, go ahead and I'll take this guy right here and I'll just pull him out and I'll just put in a seed or 2. You can see a couple of them through here did not come up. So all I'll do is I'll just go through in those little spots and I will put in an additional seed or 2. Because now's the only time I can do it. Once they get, 12 inches tall or whatever, it's going to be really difficult for a new seed to have enough sun for it to grow up and be able to put off in the same amount of time. You can do, if you want to do like the half beds and that sort of stuff, then you're more than welcome to. That works out really well. So that's what we're going to be doing this week in our green beans. I also was looking through our tomatoes and I wanted to show you, I showed how deep we planted these guys and the size of them. But if you look down here at the bottom of this stem, these guys are massive on the bottom. And that's a really good sign. Hopefully that gives them the kind of support structure that we're looking for to put off an extra amount of fruit this year. This week we also spent a lot of time with our fruit trees. Now, we did have to take the tree behind us out. We went ahead and cut it up, and we're drying some of it, and we got so wet that we were able just to pull it right out of the ground. The idea that we're doing this year is we want to get into a very strict regimen of using the neem oil on the trees to keep off as many pests as possible. I feel like if we're going to have the trees and they're going to be there, we need to have fruit off of them. It's worth the extra effort, and if not, I feel like we should take them out. My wife differs a bit. She really likes the fruit trees where they are. I keep telling her, even if we take them out, we can put new fruit trees there, but she likes the idea. It does offer some privacy from the road, that sort of stuff. I just feel like, I guess I just want the fruit. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I haven't got it yet, and I haven't honestly decided what I'm going to do with all of the fruit once we get it. But this year, I'm going to concentrate on getting it first, and then we'll find out what we do with it once it comes. So anyway, I'll give you kind of a little tour here of our fruit trees. So in total, we have 3 apple trees and 2 pear trees. And these apple trees have already finished blooming, and you can see they're gonna have apples on them. They're loaded. The first 2 are. Now the 3rd apple tree, we'll get there in a second, but you can see there are apples all over this thing. And this one down here, it gets the sun last in the year. So it only gets the sun from the south and the west because of the big oak tree behind us. But the buds are slowly but surely falling off of it, the flowers, I mean, and in their wake, they're leaving these apples. So, again, you can see there are barely any flower petals left. And the reason I wait until they're all gone is I just do not want to take the risk of killing off the pollinators and leaving, you know, the apple tree without being fertilized. And then of course we won't have any fruit that way. But so this is the last one. Once it's finished, I'm going to go through. So my guess is probably Friday. There's another, that was, I believe it was a fruit cocktail. It wasn't an apple tree. It had limbs with different things on it, but it was just infested. So we went ahead and cut it off, and I didn't pull this one out yet. I'm debating on whether or not I want to leave it there. I kind of like the way it looks, as weird as that sounds, and it really gave some more room to, this is a buckeye tree, believe it or not. It was a little bitty thing last year, and this spring it has just taken off. So anyway, we thought if we had a farmer's market, we could dadgum sure sell buckeyes. Around these parts, folks consider them lucky, and we'll take them with them when they go fishing or hunting. So we did lose a few branches out of our pear trees this week. We had 2 or 3 really severe storms come through, a couple tornadoes here and there, but they were mostly all east of us. You can see this pear tree also has quite a few pears on it. We'll see what happens. Whenever I trimmed it, it looks like the wind passes through it easier now, which makes things like this. You can see these limbs coming off. This one has, you can see up here, these lower limbs don't have as much, but when you start looking up higher, there's quite a few pears here as well. I keep telling Leslie what I would like to do is I would like to juice these and make my own hard cider, some hard pear cider and some hard apple cider. I'm not sure, you know, how that's going to work out, but I'll probably freeze a bunch of them, slice them, and then after that I'll have to get creative. So I'm going to wrap this week's vlog up with a little PSA. We touched on it earlier, but this week has kind of brought it into sort of focus for me. You know, gardens are a great way to socialize. It's also a great way to get in touch with your community. So one of the things Leslie and I have been talking about is how can we reach out and be a bigger part of our community through our garden? And one of the things that have always kind of screamed community to me is giving back to your community. So this time of year when you're cleaning out your greenhouse and you finally have all your plants in and you have some left over, maybe just take the initiative and offer some to a neighbor, maybe somebody who's never gardened before. You know, you may just change somebody's life. Maybe they have always wanted to garden and just never had somebody to give them advice or give them a plant to start. Not only that, but it starts a conversation with your community. And I think during these times, the more we can speak to each other, the better off we're all going to be. So anyway, so just take time. Use your garden as a way to reach out to your community as the summer goes on and you start getting vegetables and fruits. If you have extra, don't ask, just give them away. Go down to a neighbor, maybe somebody new in town, maybe somebody just started a garden and you've noticed it. And so maybe you can take them some of what you have and then offer advice if they need it. Anyway, it's just something I've been thinking a lot about how can we bring our communities sort of closer together around the idea of gardening, because I do think it's a very social pastime. Well, as always, I would like to say thank you to all of you that have made it to this part of the video. If you have not, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really goes a long way in helping us out. You can hit the little bell icon and YouTube will notify you when we upload new content. If you liked this video, consider giving it a like. Until next time, I hope you folks take care of yourselves. Peace.